Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Data Engineer One. Welcome back to another episode on writing data pipelines with Kedro. If you're new to the channel, I'm here helping you data pipeliners write better data pipelines. In today's episode of writing data pipelines with Kedro, it's super duper special. I'm showing you guys something that I have created for a to help you guys out there, all of you guys, write better data pipelines faster and easier. It's a plugin called Kedro Wings, and I wrote this yesterday, released it yesterday, and I want to show it to you guys here today. So the idea here came from actually my discussion with another member of the Kedro community. His name is Yusuke. He runs a repo called Pipeline X, which is a cool data science repo. And he and I were chatting, and he said that Kedro is a little bit difficult for beginners to get a grip on, mainly because of the YAML catalog. The animal catalog itself can be a little bit convoluted, a little bit confusing, and also kind of buggy at times. And that's not because of Kedro, but that's just because of the YAML specification. This is definitely true. And I thought about what he was saying, and I realized that there's a better way that we can go about this. Well, and better is relative. What I mean is there's a better way for people to get started with Kedro. And this way is by not having them use the catalog or not requiring them to use the catalog, but instead stay inside of Python land and be a little bit more comfortable here. And so with that in mind, I wrote this plugin, Kedro Wings. And in my opinion, super great way to write data pipelines very quickly, easily, and it helps beginners as well as intermediate and advanced Kedroers just get into their data pipelining like immediately. And I'm going to show you guys how that looks right now. So let's go ahead and start. The Kedro Wings project itself, as you can see below, is right there on GitHub, completely open source, and it's very easy to install. All you have to do is you type in pip install Kedro-Wings right here. It automatically installs Kedro as well as some of the Kedro packages, and that's just for convenience on Kedro Wings part, as well as for the utilization of the pipeline by beginners. Then for installation, all you do is you type in from Kedro Wings, import Kedro Wings, and then you put it right here in your Kedro project context hooks. And that's all there is to it. So now Kedro Wings is installed, but what does it do? Well, let me show you what it does. So we have right here this pipeline, which is actually the Iris dataset pipeline. But if you'll notice, there's actually no catalog.yaml entries. There's no catalogs at all inside of the catalog YAML file. So then how are we going to get data sets? Well, here's how we do it. You can see right here, we do have our Iris CSV data set. This is inside of Zero Raw. And instead of using the catalog normally, like by writing a catalog entry, what KedroWings allows you to do is it allows you to point directly to the file path itself in order to load data. So here we have O1 raw iris CSV, and that's all you need. This is literally the input to the split data node, which allows you to read directly from disk in order to grab that iris dataset. And it does this by using Kedro Wings. And what Kedro Wings is going to do is it goes through every single one of your nodes. And after it goes through each of these nodes, what it does is it figures out where are the inputs and where are the outputs. And then based on the file extension, right here, we have .csv, based on that file extension, it chooses for you a data set that it believes to be appropriate to read that data in. And in most cases, it's actually a very standard system, right? You're either going to use your Pandas CSV data set to read your CSV files. You've got your Pillow image data set. You've got your YAML data set. And you also have the unreleased JSON data set, which actually just got left behind, but there's a pull request that will be coming soon for that. And so you can see that it just makes the process so much easier. In order to create these pipelines, I don't have to go back and forth between the catalog and the pipeline in order to create these data sets, right? Because what would the catalog entry look like anyway, right? What it's going to look like is it's going to look like something like this, raw underscore iris data, right? and then we put in the type. The type is pandas CSV dataset. And then what's the file path? Well, the file path is going to be raw underscore or slash data slash iris CSV, right? So you can see that there's a lot of repeated information. You have the name of the data set that contains usually the file name of the file path, and sometimes it also contains the entire path itself. So instead of repeating the information, we can simplify that process by putting all that information inside of the pipeline. And thus, it makes it so much easier and so much more straightforward to go ahead and just write your data sets that you know you want inside of here, and then you can run the pipeline and it works. And not only that, but it works for when you want to save data too. So here for our train X, train Y, say for example, I want to look at the data that comes out, I can also write in a data path using Kedro Wings in order to grab this data right after it's created. So I don't have to do a data set injection. I don't have to modify the catalog YAML.file. All I have to do is just modify the pipeline itself. And I just add this here. And so if we go ahead and run this pipeline with Kedro run dash dash pipeline equals DE, because it's the data engineering pipeline from the Iris dataset example, we can see that it actually goes through. It will run, it will read the Iris CSV, and then it saves it out here to this intermediate. And look at how nice it is. It shows exactly where the location is of the files, and it's the CSV data set, as well as this one here, CSV data set. And then if you look over here, we can scroll up inside of the intermediate folder. PyCharm hasn't reloaded its cache, but if we go ahead and close that and open that again, we can see our example data. So we can already look at the data that's coming out here, and we didn't have to modify the catalog. So I think this is just such a convenient feature for anyone who wants to write their data pipelines quickly and easily. And especially and not have to worry about all these extra information, extra boilerplate that needs to happen in order to create the data sets that you need. And this works for a wide variety of data sets. So if you take a look at the documentation that's right below, this is the Kedro Wings documentation, and you can see that there's actually a lot of data sets that are supported by default. It comes with the CSV, comes with YAML. It actually comes with two forms of the YAML dataset: Excel, text, PNG, JPEG, image, as well as pickles and Parquet. So these are all built in by default for Kedro Wings to go through and run. But what's really cool here is that it allows you still to have customization. So you can actually customize any of these data sets in order to fit your needs as a data scientist or data engineer. So for example, let's say, even though I like using the CSV data set, what if I don't like the fact that it's using commas as the default? Well, what you can do is you can actually modify any of these options inside of Kedro Wings itself. So the first parameter is this data set configs. You can go ahead and push your preferred dataset config to this dataset configs variable. And so in this case, we're going to modify the .csv type and then make it such that it uses something else. So let's say instead of .csv, let's say that it's going to be CSV pipes. And the reason why I'm adding in an extra one is so that we can still read the Iris dataset using iris.csv. So we're going to say CSV pipes, and then we're going to say the type is going to be, we can either import pandas.csv dataset right here, or we can just type in the qualified name, pandas CSV dataset. This is very similar to how you use your catalogs, right? And then for this in particular, I think actually the option is SEP. So you can go ahead and just change the separator to be a pipeline. It's either SEP here or it's going to be SEP inside of the args, load args and save args. Let's actually go ahead and just assume this inside of load args for the sake of our argument. Uh, and then we'll also do the same thing here for save args, right? So this actually modifies the instructions that the data set or the configuration for the data set itself, overrides those configurations and then makes it available to you. So now this default data set right here, which allows the writing and reading of using a separator pipe, is available by just changing the extension here. So instead of .csv, we're going to make this to be CSV pipe. Boom, like that. Super quick and easy. So it's actually not CSV pipe, it's CSV pipes. Like so. So now if we run this data set one more time, we should see instead of the example data sets using the commas, it should be using the pipes. And it looks like we messed up. Instead of types, I should have put in type. Sorry, pluralization is, I guess, something that's difficult for me today. But you can see here, we open up the CSV, we have CSV pipes, and there they are, our CSV separated with pipes. So you can see that we've actually modified the data set automatically, and it just goes and takes care of everything for us. KedroWings will automatically create the new data set. It will create the files using this format, and it saves it and reads it from disk as appropriate. There's a lot of other configurations as well. There's this thing called pathing, so you can actually modify the path. So this is just in the case where you decide that you don't want to use intermediate. Like, so for example, if we want to move, if we have a lot of data that's located inside of 02 intermediate, but we don't necessarily want to modify that catalog name, you could instead create a mapping that allows that to change for you. So for example, if we use paths, and then we say, okay, anything that is inside of intermediate, we're going to move to something else like a new folder, right? Just call it new folder for now. And in fact, actually, we can go ahead and even put it right here, new folder like this. And then if we rerun the pipeline, we're going to see that anything that was previously going to save inside of O2 intermediate now saves inside of new folder. And so even though the data set name has not changed, we can see that the data now saves in this new folder. So that's what the path does. And then we also have this extra argument here for root. So automatically it chooses your local data as your root, but you can actually change that to be something even as cool as changing it to be your S3 bucket. Now, I don't actually have an S3 bucket set up for this example, but basically any kind of file system that is supported by the FS spec should be supported by this guy here. And that's all you need to do to change that root. And of course, because we're using the O2, we're using the OS path joining function in order to join these paths together, you can still override that root. You can actually even override it inside of your data set itself. And so, for example, if we were to change it to be like instead of new folder, if we were to add a root folder here, then it would actually take that absolute path and overwrite whatever the previous path was. Um, and then finally, we have this extra little option. I think this is a convenience method enabled, which allows you to turn Kedro Wings on or off. And that's just a little bit convenient for everyone so that you can still take advantage of the capabilities of Kedro Wings, but make it easy to just like disable when you want to disable it or not. Okay. So that's what Kedro Wings is. It's currently available pip install Kedro-Wings. Still undergoing active development, but happy to take whatever feedback you guys have on Kedro Wings. Would love to hear if you guys use it for your projects, and definitely please let me know what you guys think. And if you guys think you have a cool idea for a Kedro plugin, I would love to hear what you guys have, some of your ideas. You guys have got some great thoughts there in the comments, so go ahead and just add your own 2 cents there. And yeah, thanks a lot for taking a look today. We're going to go ahead and end the video there. If you like what you see, make sure you button that like, sub that scribe, and ring that ding so you know when we're pipelining. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye bye. Enjoy your day.